Hi everyone, it is Mickey here from A Pretty Talent and the Waterwell Ministries, and I'm back with another video for our junk journaling ephemera creation using second-hand books, old books. Now today specifically I'm going to be working with children's books, one children's book in particular, this one, but this can be any children's book. So the idea is that you would find in a thrift store, a charity store, a second-hand bookstore, a children's book that appeals to you, of which the images, the illustrations appeal to you. And then you get to take that apart and turn the illustrations into embellishments for your junk journal. I have found this German children's book, the Brothers Grimm, the fairy tales of the Brothers Grimm, the children's stories. Die schönsten Märchen der Brüder Grimm mit Bildern von Anastasia Arkhipova. So this is the artist, and more than the Brothers Grimm, we're not working with their stories, we're working with this artist's illustrations. The book I have taken apart. This I will at another stage turn into a journal itself. I keep these and I turn them into journals. Now I've got a whole host of things that we are going to be looking at. How I have gone about creating these. Let me just take these apart and we can start at a point. And I think we need to start here. So some of the illustrations, once you start cutting the book up and taking the illustrations apart and so forth, some of these illustrations end up having rather nice illustrations back to front. These I don't do anything with. This I can turn into a bookmark, I can turn into all sorts of things, a belly band, a side pocket. I'm going to leave this be for the time being. This one I don't like the back, but this is going to be a belly band, so nobody will ever see the back, so I leave it as is. This as well, this used to be one single picture. I decided I rather enjoyed the images more separated. Could have separated it at a later stage as well, doesn't really matter. Again, this one back to front, very nicely cut out. This was an oval picture in the book, and once I cut it out, the back also had an oval picture. I needed to trim a little bit of the white away, so it's not an exact oval any longer. But yeah, these two images turned out rather nicely as well. This is simply an off-cut piece, which has wild flowers in it, and so I thought this would make a very nice belly band as well, so I retained it. Again, a little bit of an off-cut piece, which could turn into a very nice belly band. Retained that. Again, double-sided. These can be turned into, I don't know, journaling plates, journaling cards. All sorts of things that you can do with this. This one is a little different. I'll come back to that one just now. So all of these are rather straightforward. Now, this one worked out back to back as well, but there was a bit of text left here at the bottom. So all I did was took another old book, you can see the word Heinemann still there, and I just turned this into a pocket. So instead of covering this whole image at the back, I just turned this into a pocket. So another nice little card to put into a journal with a pocket inside it. This one was pretty much the same thing. That image was fine. This one had a bit of text here at the bottom. I took another off-cut image, which I could have used on its own, but these work rather nicely together. So I just turned this into a pocket using an illustration from the actual book. So that's the first and the easiest to do, to just simply recover images from a journal. Right, now, for the next bit, almost as easy as those is to cut out images which you like. Trim them down to what you like them to be, etc., etc. So these are just cut out images. Then what I did was the following. I backed these onto other papers. Now this is a stark white paper, but the book itself, it has a lot of stark white in it, and so a lot of the images still has this stark white in the images, stark white. So the stark white here doesn't really bother. And I did the same thing for all of them. I cut some corners, rounded some corners. These can turn into bookmarks, into tags. They can still turn into belly bands, etc., etc. They've got a whole lot of uses still, but you've got lovely journaling space because I covered the text at the back with this white paper. Now, even these, which would be journaling cards, are absolutely brilliant, and the images are fantastic. Look at this one. These are just absolutely superb images that lends itself to so much. Once you take this out of the journal, they're no longer part of a fairy tale. They can become a part of your story, your journaling. And what I love about images like this is that they evoke a response from you. So when you see an image like this, and it evokes a response from you, it gives you something to journal about, something to talk about, as do this one, and it's a completely different response you get from it. And so I absolutely love using these kinds of images. Now, let me show you. This is one of those top model books, I think this was a dancing one, I can't remember, but in any case, I found 2 of these in the bin of books that they are not going to put on the shelves, that they're going to throw out, because a child had scribbled all over most of these, right? But the backs of these are blank. And so these are 2 recovered books that I got for free, and I'm using those pages to back these on. So this costs me the price of the second-hand children's book. That's all. You do not need to spend a lot of money. I keep coming back to that point. It's an important one to me. So here's another thing that I look out for, and I haven't been able to retrieve a whole lot of these from this particular book, but in other books that's not so. Sometimes I have little images, and this could have been turned into one of those tags or things as well. But instead what I did was to cut it a little wider, and then just cut the grooves, into this, fold this back, and now what I have is a little pocket. Let me grab one of these. So a pocket for something that I can slide into this. And all of these have been turned into pockets. Most of them rather straightforward, but look at the lovely images you get. 4 pockets. This is a curious one. I don't know when and where one would use this, but it's a curious one. Oh, and this one is a little different. So this will glue down on 3 sides. This is just an off-cut piece, which I've recovered and managed to turn into a little pocket. It's rocks, so I thought it was interesting. Houses, it was an off-cut piece. This is another off-cut piece. So some of them are really small because they are off-cut pieces, but they will go into smaller journals. These 2 was kind of like this in the book, and I recovered both of them to be pockets that could be used on the same kind of layout or spread. This one has 3 sides that will be glued down. If I don't want to, I can simply cut one of these off. Or I could cut this one off, and this could be a belly band. These things can be worked with. I love this little image of the framed cat. This one, and then this one is rather more interesting. I could have made more of this, but I love this little spindle. And so I decided to turn this into a rather large corner pocket. It would have to go into a larger journal, but I absolutely love this image. It was on a picture that kind of ran like this on the page with the text centered there. Similar to this one. But in this case, I fussy cut the leaves and I kept the corner pocket as in its original shape. So those two make for slightly more interesting pockets than the rest did. Now, what I did manage to retrieve a whole lot of, and this is the most of them in this book, was envelopes. All of these have been folded into envelopes, some opening to the side, because that's the most I could make of the image. Every time the image would dictate the opening. And of course where the text was in relation to the image. But all of these are absolutely brilliantly lovely envelopes. Now, if I were to use this in a journal, these have just been glued, so some of the glue is not right yet. I may or may not cover this upside down text, depending on the journal and depending on what I'm doing. I would probably, in all probability, rather than cover this, I would stencil over it, or I would do something like that. So these have been brought up to a point, and from this point on, I get to choose what I do. I haven't got anything inside the envelopes. I didn't put any closures on the envelopes. They've just been brought up to this point. This was a lot of work already, let me say that. This took me a whole lot of time. I love that this is still visible. The Bremer City musicians. But this image, oh my goodness, it's gorgeous. These two images together, don't they make for some absolutely fantastic pockets, or envelopes rather? This is such a sweet image, and this is what I want you to see. Whoever looks through your journal will not know that this came from a Brothers Grimm storybook. And so, out of the context of the storybook, this is just a sweet image of two children sitting on a hilltop. Yeah, these are, oh, I love this one as well. Absolutely adore this one. I would probably take this into my Bible journaling. I'm thinking of Elijah and the widow who ran out of oil, and they were going to starve, and then, of course, God's miracle saved their lives. So this is, you know, something that I could easily take into the Bible, even though it comes from the fairy tales of the Grimm brothers. This one, this woman looking so staunch and angry and set in her ways. I love that. I love that. There's going to be a place for this, because we encounter these people in our lives. And so when we journal, we get to journal about these people. This one I'm going to leave aside because there are more like these coming. This one had me thinking about so many things as I was making it. This guy sitting on top of this mountain of bread, filling himself with it. And it can go both positive or negative. It is about having abundance and being provided for in abundance, you know, sort of your cup running over. Or it can be an image on gluttony. Probably I'd go with gluttony, because this doesn't look very positive to me. Any case, your own spin on it. Love this image as well. I had to turn this into a side pocket, or the ends would not meet each other. I love this. There's loads of things that go through my mind as I look at this. Youth and wisdom and, assisting and this. How gorgeous is this? Oh, the freedom expressed in this. Oh, love that. Love these images. I don't know, this frog, on this table is so out of place, as are so many things in our lives. So when I journal, this kind of image, yeah, well, this is brilliant. Okay, here's what I was waiting for. Because these are fairy tales, my goodness, I had some spillage here from my glue. Oh, not just spillage. I have a bit of a mishap. Because the glue wasn't dry yet, this envelope actually slid into the other envelope. This is not good. This is not nice. Okay, never mind. I'll make this work. Let me just tidy this up with glue. Now that's not good. Any case, you will probably not be mass making at speed the way that I am. Okay, so obviously I would need to work on this a little bit, but all I have now is a more distressed look, so that's actually not too bad. A little bit of inking and stuff. Let me show you quickly. A little bit of inking, that's what I'm saying. A little bit of inking along the edges pretty much solves that issue already. And this one just needed to be glued down. Okay. This in the original book was spread over 2 pages. Obviously something went missing in the folds and whatever. But this was the image. This in itself works. This in itself works. And when I now put all of these together, I have such a nice little set of images on the envelopes. Let me just make sure that they don't slide into each other again. Goodness. Love these animal musicians. On the inside of this, I had a full page that would have made a lovely envelope as well. This was such a toss-up for me, what I was going to go for. But I love the animal musicians more, and that's why I went with those. This cow is a, yeah, lovely rural image. Another lovely rural image. Look at these animals. Aren't they gorgeous? Absolutely love the, oh, and this one. This one. This girl with the fruit tree and this field of flowers. It's such a beautiful image. Oh, there's another proposal for you. I have the same thing again. I really was working too fast. I'm just going to glue this one again. I cannot tell you how long this took to do. So, yeah, at some point I just started working a little faster because I needed to get done with it. In any case, yes. Here's another one. Love this image. This one is so cute. This girl is all covered in probably mud. But because she's wearing an apron, I thought I would love to include this in a recipe journal. As if she's covered in, you know, a chocolate cake that she was building and something exploded on her, or she mixed without covering the mixer, or I don't know. I just thought this would be such an hilarious one to include. And what I loved about this one is how it ended up at the back. Isn't that absolutely gorgeous? But in any case, you need to do nothing on the back. Love this one. It's a side opening one again. This girl in a field of flowers. Oh, there are so many flower images. This is another absolutely endearing one. I would have loved to have scented this a little bit more, but now I can put a sentiment here. I ended up with a very small flap here, which doesn't matter too much because it's a smaller envelope. This was because I tried to retrieve another image at the top of this. But with the sentiment here, the centering of this image makes more sense. That I don't do until I actually put it into an envelope. A little house in the woods, fantastic. A soldier on his knees, begging, it lends itself to Bible journaling. This is what spiritual warfare looks like. It's not about fighting. It's about getting down on your knees and praying. Love this image for spiritual warfare. Okay, this is gorgeous. I mean, just these rural images, fantastic. Why am I opening all of them? I'm just trying to sort of make sure that they didn't glue shut because, like I said, I was working at speed. I love this as well. Rumpelstiltskin. Yeah, there are so many things going through my mind. Those who have and those who do not have. Again, in Bible journaling, the affluent, I'm thinking of the story of the rich man and the poor man begging, and the rich man and the poor man both died, and the poor man went to heaven, and the rich man did not, and he was begging to have someone go and tell his brothers about the mistake he'd made, because his treasure was not in heaven, his treasure was on earth. Any case, yeah, all sorts of things you can do with that. I love this image as well. Absolutely love this image. Again, this one ended up with a very small flap, but yeah, it's fine. It's got enough of a flap. This one is so awkward. This guy is all in on this conversation, and this girl is giving him such a cold shoulder. And then the cold colors that we used here, it's a very chilled atmosphere. I don't know. I love that. Any case, this is cute, isn't it? Obviously, the cat in boots, Puss in Boots. Love that. Yeah, this one is a bit ominous. I wasn't too sure about that one. This is a weird one. I don't know when you'd use it, but in any case, I thought it was cute. That's just the little book I want to use next. Oh, I missed the sun somehow. This is a lovely one as well, isn't it? Absolutely, just brilliantly beautiful envelopes that I can barely wait to use in a journal. The last one, and I only managed to get one of these from the book, is an image that goes over a double page, one page and the next page. But once you take the book apart, they're on the same page, because the books are, of course, compiled of papers that are folded like this. Now, this image would have to be over the same page instead of being, when they fold it, let me show you. Because there are loads of images that run over 2 pages. But it can't be running on that page and this page. It's got to be on the same page in order to be able to do this. So with that image working brilliantly, that when you fold it, you have a focal point here and you have a focal point here. I have managed to turn this now into a little journal. Again, I didn't mind the white pages because of the white being used in the book itself. I have simply stapled this together. I have a long reach stapler, so that's how I managed to do that. And then because the book was substantially larger, I just took the 2 side pieces and folded them back and turned them into pockets. And even this is beautiful. That which is visible is beautiful. This is beautiful. If you were a little bit curious, you would see a guy getting thrown off a horse here. This works. And it works with the curiosity element of journaling. Only managed to get one of these from the book, but absolutely fantastic. Now, let me show you when we do this. All of this I managed to retrieve from one single children's book, which I had already started reading from even before I did this final retrieval of the book. So again, imagine paying for printables. Imagine buying this even off of Temu, which is really cheap, you would not be able to get this much for the 10 Rand that this book cost me. And then I still have this whole sturdy cover that I can turn into a journal as well. That's my argument for using old books. Now, I hope this has inspired you. I hope you're going to go out and look for a children's book and start your own reading of that book, and have an absolute fun time creating these and then creating the journals after creating these. Until next time, see you then. Cheers, guys.